First of all, let me just say something. I didn't realize that motherfucking Pop just went at him like that. And
bro, we were just listening to the album. How you not know about Against All Odds?
You
don't be listening to this shit.
No. You know what it is, bro? Like it's like it's like one of them things where it's like, like you might be about to go shop for a car, right? And you're like, damn, I like that car. And then all of a sudden you realize that car is everywhere on the fucking road.
You see it everywhere. I know what you're talking about, Jerv.
So that's kind of like
Jerv, I know what you're talking about, but at the same time, Trey is right, man. Like that was one of the most, I remember in 96 hearing that line and being like, I didn't know who Haitian Jack was, but I was like,
I knew who Haitian Jack was because of that album. I wouldn't have never knew who that nigga is.
Exactly.
It's still wild to me that this nigga is out here rocking this ascot again. I don't mean any disrespect, but this man is rocking this fucking ascot, and he's the fucking boogeyman.
Boogeyman wears an ascot, man. But seriously though, like I texted the chat this when I was watching it earlier today. And by the way, happy Margarita Day, you motherfuckers.
Is it?
It's Happy National Margarita Day. Goddamn right it is.
It's always some fucking day. Tomorrow is like Happy Tie Your Shoe with Your Left Hand Day. Shout out to everybody.
You know what though, Jerv? That sounds a hell of a lot more fucking lame than Happy Margarita Day. So we're going to support and celebrate the cool ones, and we're going to say fuck you to the lame ones. But having said that, obviously parts 3 and 4 of Hip Hop Uncovered are out on Hulu. They came out on Friday. We talked about episodes 1 and 2 with Waz and with Justin Tinsley last week. Justin Tinsley sat here and snitched and ratted out and wholesale just spoilered everything in it. But somehow I managed to erase my memory and watch them again. And 2 great episodes again. I like how we really got, the first couple episodes seemed to like bounce around a lot. And these 2 sat with just like, we're going to talk about this for a while. We're going to talk about that for a while. And you know what I learned, guys? Honestly, it's kind of weird and I feel dumb. I always knew there was a gang element and the crime element behind hip hop, behind a lot of these record labels and artists. I never knew, it's going to sound stupid, I never knew the extent to which all the violence that happened in the 90s was directly tied to that shit. Not on some, hey, niggas got into a beef, and of course, when you're dealing with drug niggas are gonna shoot. No, on some like, this whole shit was all behind the scenes shit. Everything, all of it.
L, right?
All of it.
I had no idea, and I guess it's probably just like I'm with you on that. My ignorance to just who all these people were, because I didn't know. And all due respect to every single person in this series, but I had no idea the level that some of these individuals really had in the game. And then when they put that flash, it was Big L. What's they went Biggie, Pac, Big L. Who was the other person? God damn, whoever. Like what I'm saying. Like I was just saying, I was just like, oh shit. This makes, I mean, I guess it makes sense, right? Like, not that it's...
When they did the whole thing about old boy getting shot at JD birthday party, and then the retaliation happening here, and then Pac killing being a retaliation to that, and then Big killing being a retaliation to that, and I was like, our dumbasses sat there in the 90s thinking it's because of records, because when niggas sit on wax, it had in actuality, it had nothing to do with that. Them niggas could have been singing about love, peace, and happiness, and they still would have got their ass shot.
But to be fair, I told y'all this like a year or 2 ago about
that. You did, but
around the
but Trey, I'm gonna be honest.
I just left out the first death because if you think about it, if you go down the line, my uncle got shot in 95. Following that, all in the mix, and as Dre mentioned, 23 people died. 7 of my family members were murdered in that.
I was about to say, Trey, like that's some shit you might want to share. Like, I was like, what?
I mean, like I said, I'm numb to it in this situation, and it was just a reflection of the situation. But like, my uncle was a bodyguard for Death Row. Obviously, with Jay dying and ATL started it all up.
Right.
And then Puffy and Suge getting into a scream fest. And him actually hiring some Southside Compton Crips.
Now, Trey, I got a bunch of questions, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. First and foremost, you mentioned the screaming match. A couple of people talked about it. That Puff and Suge had a tension between them, and they kind of came to a peak at that party. And then they mentioned Wolf, and then they mentioned this dude got shot. I don't want you to get in trouble, but like connect the dots for me. Was them shits related?
I mean,
or them niggas like just saying that shit happened and they just assume?
Nah. So what happened was you got Suge Muscle and you got Puff Muscle.
Right.
Puff Muscle felt like, the disrespect was too loud, and it was a retaliation in the situation. I'll put it as nice as that is. And then, coming back home and the kite being sent back home, obviously, which they showed my man from Campanella Park, say, okay, you need to go get such and such because he's been killed out here in Atlanta. And then from there, you go into the association of already heated battles. This is non-internet, so it's word of mouth, it's street shit. And you come back and it says, okay, well, it's a dude wearing a Death Row chain who was a part of the camp. It used to be heavy affiliated. So it wasn't just rappers and shit like that. It was the mob Pyru that was always around Suge and Death Row. So one of the dudes was at a mall and he got jumped by some Southside Crips and they took his chain. And when they took the Death Row chain, it was like, aha, we got your chain. And it happened to be a hired member from Bad Boy who was part of the Southside Compton Crips.
But he was doing this shit as a Southside Compton Crip, not as an emissary for Bad Boy, right?
Nah, I mean, the whole thing was just like, it was just more so Southside embodied Bad Boy. Like, okay, well, if the mob is that, these are two Compton hoods that are getting money, major money in the city. And the main guy that they mentioned, rest in peace, Orlando Anderson, right, is the guy which they finally came out and said that shot Tupac because of some street shit. Now, I've told, plenty of times on the pod that the whole city of Compton knew
y'all already
who killed
knew,
Tupac.
It wasn't even a secret
but it's just,
y'all,
but it's just not that situation for you to be talking street stuff loosely. You know what I'm saying? Because it gets bigger.
But Trey, honestly, that was the part that, like, for me was I didn't know that initial. Because we had never, you have absolutely mentioned that about Orlando Anderson in the past. We've talked about it with Tinsley. We've talked about it a bunch of times on this thing. I
left out other names because,
but there was an initial thing that set the whole thing off, and that's what they talked about in this doc. That I didn't know about that. The other thing was, and we might have talked about this, so forgive me if I'm having some amnesia here, but what kind of weird ass tension is it where Snoop and Corrupt are wearing blue and Death Row is run by a red dude? Like, that's gotta be weird. No, because I didn't know. I didn't know. Jerv, did you know this? I didn't know Corrupt was that into it. I thought he was, like I grew up around these guys. I didn't know. They would say like Corrupt was the first one who's straight up rolling 60s. Straight up.
I had no idea. No idea.
So when you guys get a chance and we end the recording, I want you to go back and look at Streets as the Mother album cover, right? He is wearing khakis, blue chucks, Dodger jacket, and a Dodger hat, right? And throughout that album, he is openly on wax saying he's from 60s Crip. Now, everybody knows that he's originally from Philadelphia and he ended up getting out here because he was cutting up and got sent out to California, which was supposed to help because most people from most people from the East Coast or Midwest send their kids to California because they think it's a good life. Because it's good weather, you know what I mean?
Y'all got front lawns and fucking houses and
all that stuff. Well,
they out here like working out in their front yard. Like, tell me it's not a good life.
But he happens to fall into Big U's backyard. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, this kid has potential. You know what? Don't do anything. But Corrupt, obviously, the same thing Tupac was when Tupac got around the mob. You think about it. He was in Oakland and then he kind of ventured down. And by the time he got out, in those 9 months, bruh, like the same way how Haitian Jack said he embodied, he was a character the entire time. So if he's like, oh, Amin, I want to be a great podcaster, he would learn you and then go on about that way. So when my uncle was bringing them to Compton and he was hanging out with the Watts niggas and all that, he just embodied it. And Suge be like, yo, I don't want you going to Compton. And he would just go on his own and be blood this, blood that. And Suge like, hey, stop. Pump the brakes, because for one, you don't know, but like he wanted to prove that, you know what I mean? Like, but you also got to think about that. This dude is 23, 24 years old at the time and looking for identity issues, right? In the situation, right? Trust issues, has been shot before, he's fascinated with the lifestyle. That's anybody that comes to like the city and they're like, oh man, take me here. You know what I'm saying? I want to be around this. So in his situation, he's buying all in. So he thinking like, okay, if they got my back, I got the homies back. And in that particular situation, they spotted Orlando in Vegas at the Tyson fight. And Pac said, let me at him. Instead of protecting the money and saying, go to your room or go this way, Tupac bombs on fucking Orlando to start it all off.
Right.
He takes off first, and that's where bomb first comes from. Right.
Oh shit.
He bombed first. And then after that, they just had to fucking follow suit. Follow after that.
By the way,
this shit's fucking crazy.
Y'all are listening. Y'all can't see it. If you're on YouTube, you can see Jerv's face. But if you're not on YouTube, you listen to this on podcast format.
Wait, Bomb First was about that?
I just saw Jerv's face.
So when he did that, when he punched him and leaned into the punch, everybody pulled Tupac back. Like, okay, get him out of here. But then they start stumping Orlando out. Now, Code of the Streets, anybody get embarrassed like that, the retaliation is going to be as strong as possible. And he took matters in his own hands. And, you know, we knew the final results in 96.
So hold on, wait, run this back for me though. Cause there's no way in hell I'm not Brian, but I do consider myself somehow, like I feel like I'm in the mix, right? I lived it to a degree, as much as I could as a dude from Philly. You trying to tell me,
but I say you lived it also from a non-internet era,
and I was super young.
But I'm just saying, and it not getting to like the East Coast like that. Like it's still people like we talked on the pod. You was like, oh damn, you actually know the dude who killed Tupac? Yeah. Because my cousin killed the dude, and they had a shootout and they died. Both of them died together. You know what I'm saying? They had a shootout at the car wash.
But hold on, Bomb First was it? So you're telling me Bomb First is just the term, or the song Bomb First?
It's the term, but like
okay, but that wasn't a diss track.
It wasn't a diss track. Nah. He was gone already because this happened prior to.
But I didn't. Album. Oh yeah, you're right. That makes sense.
Yeah, because that was the same thing with Haitian Jack saying like, look, if he would have survived, he would have had to holler at me before this, because going on wax and saying I'm a rat. Or, you know what I mean? I'm a reputable street dude.
Yo, that's crazy.
You can't say that shit. You can't just throw shit like that out there. Nah. That is dangerous. But yo, let's talk about Haitian Jack for a second. Because when that nigga said people want to defend Tupac, you didn't know Tupac. Because Tupac ain't even know who Tupac was. He said, Pac had the right name, Tupac, because it was two of them niggas. I was like, yo, like, this is the shit. Like, honestly, niggas like me and Waz been saying shit like this for years, but it's a little different when it's a nigga that was like there on the scene, lived that shit, knew that nigga. For him to basically tear him apart, and I know Tinsley came on last week and let us know that Birdie character on Above the Rim was loosely based on Haitian Jack. But for instance, the idea that the whole reason that Pac got to know Madonna was because Haitian Jack was hitting that first. Oh my God.
And she didn't fuck with Pac like that because Pac wasn't real.
Because she found out that Pac was a studio gangster. Basically,
she met the other guy.
She met the original, and she saw you as a Xerox. That's basically what he was saying. And I get it. Niggas will embellish things to make themselves look good, especially if the nigga who could refute it is dead. But still, God damn it.
This hurts my heart, man. It hurts my heart. But I kind of knew.
I've never heard anyone talk that like direct on wax about the nigga.
Yeah, on wax. You know what I mean? And he has the reputable, obviously, because when you see the movie, right? You've seen Tupac the movie, right? Or no, you've never seen it?
The terrible one, Resurrection or whatever it's called?
Yeah, the bad one.
Yeah, I refuse to watch
Not
that
the
genre.
Resurrection, but it's the actual movie. But they have Haitian Jack in there as a character and they portray him a certain way. So it hints off a little bit, but it doesn't give his tone of voice to kind of dispute. Because you could tell, like, obviously, in the movie, they always made it serious about Pac and flashy things and how easy marveled he got. Like, he gets so distracted. Niggas be like, oh, we're going to give you a house and a Rolex. And the Rolex was the biggest thing. So when Haitian Jack gave him his first Rolex, it was like, nigga, what is this? And then for the whole shit of like, oh, you put me on some fly shit. You a fly nigga, Versace, da-da-da-da. And he's showing him this way. But then when all the shit happened.
Do you realize that shit? I did not I thought that was because Big was doing that shit first.
But remember, Pac said the Big got that from him.
Mm-hmm.
But no, bro, think about it. And
but that's before that, Haitian Jack, Big called Pac when they met up.
Said, don't fuck with that nigga.
Picture. Don't fuck with him.
And he said, that nigga right there, don't fuck with him.
Ain't listen.
I mean, you in too deep after that point.
Nah, I mean, I feel like
you into
I feel like Pac got the warnings at a very. I feel like everybody kind of, as soon as they saw Pac with him, kind of was like, "Yo, you gotta chill, bro." Like everybody.
I'm gonna tell you the real shit.
That's like me moving. That's like me moving to this city, and I mean, like, yo, I know you in the city. I know you in Bed-Stuy, bro. But it's that nigga right there. Don't fuck with him. And I'm like, no, he cool though. He lit. Like, trust me. Like, I fuck with him. And it means like, I'm gonna tell you this. Trust me,
Trey. I'm gonna tell you this. The shit that really hit home to me, what kind of nigga Haitian Jack was, and obviously you heard the stories over the years, but that's when I really oh shit, yeah. This when the nigga was talking about Jimmy Cozier coming up to him, said, "Let me hear this track," and oh, I wrote this, and they said, "Who did I sing?" He's like, "Me." Like, what? And he goes straight to Clef, and Clef, hear this, and Clef says, "Yeah, who's that singing?" He's like, "That's Jimmy." "No, that ain't Jimmy." And they go to Clive Davis, and Clive Davis signs that nigga on the spot, and he said, "I felt so much pride. I'm legitimate." Da da da. And he said. But then I thought about, man, I used to get $1 million off a lick. I'm like, what? This nigga's sitting out here reminiscing about like, but I still miss it. I'm like, what are you talking about, man? Also, to be a stick-up kid that gets 7 figures at a time.
So let me.
That's got to be embellishment. You hit the stash house for $1 million, and you still alive? I just don't see how that happens.
So let me ask you this, because again, I'm the Philly dude, right? So like, I mean, if you want to, if somehow, some way they do something on BMF and and all that shit, I'm sorry, Junior Black Mafia and all that, like, all right, I'm from here. I've heard the rumblings and all that shit. With Haitian Jack, was he just a stick-up person, or did he have like a hood or shit allegedly like Preem did?
He was like
he was all hands on deck.
So it was okay. He just always put that work in. Oh, he's Omar.
He's an Omar type. Yeah,
got you.
I knew he was a stick-up. I didn't know, like, honestly, this is gonna sound dumb again. I didn't know you could be a stick-up kid on that level. I thought like it only rises to like some street shit. Like
eventually
that nigga was knocking off like what? Like, you know how many people you got to take out in order to walk away with that kind of bounty off a stick up? Nah, man.
Yeah. And your name has to be buzzing in the streets, just like Omar by season.
Yeah. But think about the work. Think about the work he was putting in though. Overall, think about all the work.
Smoke.
Like, for you to be feared, for you to be loved. For you to be enamored, like nigga Dallas Austin leaving the recording studio, bro, to greet him, bro.
With Madonna.
Pulling up in his
with Madonna,
they leave. And Madonna like, who is this nigga? And they like, and they getting off the bar like, look, Madonna, you live in New York and you don't know Jack? Oh, you don't know nobody. That's a bar.
Yo,
that is a bar. By the way,
that wasn't a one line that Trey just said there. It was like a conversation. She's like, yo, you from New York, right? You know Jack. And she was like, no. And these niggas shit on Madonna for not knowing this fucking hood ass dude who sticks up.
I like how Spliff Star was the voice of reason.
Oh,
like, yeah.
Star. Star came in and rebutted the shit out of Tupac's account. He's like, no. I know that nigga. I can say one thing. That nigga's not no snitch ass nigga.
Yo, is it me? And no disrespect to Spliff, but is it me or was Spliff the only one that looked like it was still the 90s?
He did.
He had like the 7X leather jacket on with the hoodie on. He had the ill backdrop, like out of New Jack City or some shit.
Yeah, man. No, he
son living in time zone like Iverson.
Yo, shout out to him though, man. I want to be one of them niggas that like maintains a bubble around me. Y'all heard the new.
I love it. Shouts to Bimmy too, though, man. Bimmy.
Oh,
Bimmy.
Oh, his shit.
Bimmy got bailed out by fucking Bobby Brown and Whitney Houston. That's killer.
That is killer. That is absolutely killer. What Bobby Brown and Whitney Houston put this nigga Bimmy, man. Like he is everyone's best friend. He's everybody's best friend. And it's pretty fucking amazing.
I like how Bimmy came up with the GOAT.
I know, like, yo, that's crazy. How about that? Like we've been like all this time. You know, people use the term GOAT all the time. Tom Brady's the GOAT. LeBron's the GOAT. And people, to the point where people say multiple GOATs. Oh, they're all GOATs. Like, no, greatest of all time means there's one. Motherfuckers act like they're all GOATs or whatever. But it's like this term started from this nigga right here, which is crazy,
on a fucking
man.
Plane.
But like the thing about Bimmy that I found very interesting and relatable even was that, you know, all three of us have operated in an industry that not necessarily like is welcoming to us, right? And I'm not saying any of us have been Bimmy, but also it is an adjustment. I know when he was talking about how Kevin Lyles and old girl Tina did him, and he said, I'm from a place where if I don't like you, I tell you I don't like you. And we figure it that way. And these motherfuckers were like, to smile in your face, and then they backstab you, like the song goes. And I was like, yo, most of the shit I'm watching, I'm like, this is amazing. I'm learning. I feel like Jerv had 10 minutes ago. My face is just, oh my God, is that how that happened? Whatever. But that was the first time I was like, that's the shit that happened to me, man. Real fucking talk. Where I walked around ESPN telling people, and before that, when I was with the Suns, telling people this shit ain't right. That motherfucker don't know what he's doing. I don't agree with this shit. And that shit hurt me, man. It hurt me for being honest and speaking up against shit that was wrong and incorrect, or speaking out on people that I didn't see eye to eye with. I didn't play the game, and I was like, part of me was like, yo, I really like feel for this nigga right now, because it's like, hey, that shit sucks, man. You're taught your whole life to be honest, to be upfront, to not like be shady.
To be a stand-up guy.
To be a stand-up guy, right? And in the end, that's the shit that does you in. Because the way this shit is played is motherfuckers smiling in your face, man. I felt for Bimmy on that shit, man.
Yeah, I mean, shit, man. Bimmy, I like how Kevin Lyles told my man he gonna be working from home, and he already knew what time it was.
Yeah, man.
Yo, but overall, man, like those dudes, everybody featured on this doc, man, has been lived like, they've lived some lives.
Yo,
you know what I'm saying?
Trey, real talk. That was the shit for me with the Suns, because my whole career with the Suns, I have been an in-office nigga. I go on scouting trips. I go on the road with the team. But for the most part, I'm in office. Decisions are being made, I'm there. And then my last year, them niggas was like, we want you to be like the exclusive East Coast scout. Niggas sent me to the farthest part of the country. I'm going watching UConn and Syracuse and all that shit. And that's cool. It was fun. I don't mind it. But I also knew at that point in October or whatever, these niggas are sending me out of the office so they could fuck around. And so they could make it easier to part ways when the time comes. I knew in October that this was my last season in Phoenix. So like that shit, like I knew exactly what you're talking about. When someone tell you, yo, you work away from the office. Everybody else gonna be in the office though. Nah, man.
Yeah, except you.
Except you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. That's wild.
Yeah, you just made me have a flashback, bro. You made me have a flashback.
That shit happened to you too?
Bro, you made me have a flashback to when I was going on all the NBA stuff And then all of a sudden it was, nah, you're not doing NBA. You just about to you're gonna work on this sport now. And oh, by the way, you're over on North Campus. I'm like, North Campus.
North Campus.
Oh man, all right. Okay, I see what time this is.
North Campus. There you go. That's all you need to know right there. North Campus, for those that don't know. ESPN in Bristol actually has 2 campuses. One is the main campus. That's the one you see where SportsCenter is shot, where, His and Hers was shot, where, if they have them, this is SportsCenter commercials with niggas at the cafe or whatever. All that shit's happening at main campus. The main campus is pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
Then probably, Jerv, what is it, a mile up the road? Maybe 2 miles up the road. It ain't far.
And that's about a mile, because it's literally like a 30, 40-second ride. Like if you take all the back roads.
It's not a walking distance.
Oh no, you gotta hop in your car, bro. Or take the shuttle.
But in the car or in the shuttle. But it's a quick ride once you're in a vehicle. It's North Campus. North Campus has its own cafeteria.
Yep.
And it's got literally this fucking cubicle farm. There ain't no walls or nothing. You just walk in there and it's just as far as the eye can see, cubicles. And that's where a lot of the behind the scenes legal, I think, is in there, and some other real back of office type stuff there. And apparently John Gervais, good Lord, I didn't know they did anything creative out there, man.
Yeah, they had one. There's one sport on that side. There's one.
Yo,
and I just haven't
treated you like Jon Snow, my nigga.
Bruh.
They sent that nigga to the wall. Exactly. Exactly.
They sent you to the wall.
Said.
That's crazy.
Bruh.
Fucking send my man to the wall, bro.
That was crazy. Yo, it never was. Never was heard from again, brother. Yo, let me ask you this. Did 10 say we get more of Trick? Because I feel like Trick's super duper
Jerv.
I've heard of Trick, but he seems super cool to me.
Number one. He is the number one nigga in this documentary. Every time he come on the screen, I'm excited to hear what this nigga gonna say, because he's fucking hilarious, man. This nigga's hilarious and got stories, and I feel like there's not enough. You know what's funny? I never would have thought going into a documentary. They told me, yo, here's the thing: it's Big U. And he gonna tell you about how all that shit started on the West Coast. It's Bimmy and Deb. It's Haitian Jack. And then it's Trick. If you asked me to rank before I watched the second, Trick would have been number 5 for me.
Yep.
Watching 3-4 episodes, that nigga's number 1 by far. Just because this nigga's hilarious, man. Everything this nigga says makes me fucking laugh, man.
So did I ever tell y'all when I met Trick in Detroit?
Y'all bet no. Tell us the
no.
Trick.
I need this.
Oh man, Rob, I'm gonna need you to bleep a couple of times.
Yeah, shout out to. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
go ahead.
So my thing with Trick, right? That I'm hoping we get more from him is because Main Man had a $250,000 bail.
$2 million.
Right? I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah, I did the percentage. He had the percentage. He had to put the 2 to 250 down, whatever, just to get out. Yes. Right? He has Eminem get him out. I don't know much about all that, but I know that if your bail is $2 million, it's got to be pretty crazy, right?
It's about it's on first degree murder.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot more there. I feel like there's a lot more there we need to be getting from Trick.
No, but that's an amazing story when he's talking about meeting Eminem and being like, yeah, this nigga da-da-da. And the next day, where's that white boy at? He's like, oh, he went to LA. To meet with Dre. He's like, what the fuck is Dre going to do with this nigga? And then he said he heard the song.
He said, I get it.
Yeah, but that's why I love Trick because his stories, everybody else, if you notice, all their stories about how he's the baddest nigga ever and this shit happened.
Yeah, he ain't even incriminated himself. He on the point of just being a good storyteller. He talking about when he went to prison and he said that shit was a bird cage.
He said that nigga was there's a door and then there's another door and then another door and then there's another door and then inside that shit, it's a bird cage with mad niggas in there. I was like, the way he said that shit, like you said, Trey, that's a storyteller right there. That's a nigga, honest to God, man. The 5 people, I got a lot of respect for everybody, and they're all very interesting in their own right. But if you told me, you had one of these motherfuckers you could pick, have one night, y'all go get drinks, and just listen to that nigga talk. Trick by far, man. And I think I'm more kind of enamored because I wouldn't have thought that shit going through.
So I don't fuck with Trick, but I honestly would probably be sitting with Haitian Jack just because I'm more curious about the whole.
I don't trust. Like, you know, it's funny.
I don't trust Haitian Jack.
I don't trust Haitian Jack. That nigga might rob me at the end. That nigga might rob me at the end of it.
See, you didn't put that part. You didn't put that part in. Okay, now I got to think about it. Okay, yeah. So Trick might be the nigga that we actually.
Like Trick, I feel like he's gonna tell the story.
He might not be mad, bro. We might drink a 6-pack of Miller Lights fucking around.
Yeah.
I was about to say, like, you can get folded with Trick. I mean, listen, with any one of these individuals, trust me, you say the wrong thing, it could go left really, really bad. But like Trick, he comes off as the dude that you could literally just sit back and have a good time, and you should keep your head on the swivel. But you are all right. Haitian
You're doing
Jack,
that with all these people. No.
Haitian Jack, I'm sitting with my, no disrespect. I'm sitting I'm facing the door.
Sure. Haitian Jack, and this is how I feel like Haitian Jack. I feel like he would tell me a great story, and the punchline of the story is that, nigga, you just got robbed. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the whole point of the story, as entertaining as it is so that they're gonna rob my ass, right? That's Trick. I feel like would just tell me a great story, man. As long as I don't do nothing disrespectful, I feel like he wouldn't take it there. And I feel like, Big U and Bimmy and all them too, but their storytelling ain't quite up to par with Trick, man. By the way, Big U, shout out to Big U. I did not know that him and Harry O served time together.
Shout out to Harry O too. He's home now.
Yeah, shout out to Donald Trump for that one. Who would have saw that?
I mean, hey, shit. Bill at the house too, Kodak. You know what I'm saying? The niggas is at the crib.
Who put that word in, by the way?
I have no idea, but actually bringing Harry O home. Listen, Harry O been in jail since I was a little kid, but I've been hearing about Harry O for the longest.
Oh,
so
Harry
the
O
fact that he's home
since before Death Row started, right?
Yes. So the idea that you thinking about Harry O being at the crib, I'll give him about a year before he starts showing his face again and what he got planned. Because he's one of the smartest niggas ever, bro.
That's what he said. That's what Big U said. That's what Big O said. Big U said. Big U said.
Big O is funny.
Yeah, shout out to Oscar Robertson.
Like I feel like Big U. I feel like Big U would like. I just feel like he's so serious. I would just be afraid that, like, not afraid, but I would be worried that, damn, if I say one thing, this man could literally just be like, yo.
Oh, by the way, speaking of based on
hands up,
how about Big U? Doughboy from Boys in the Hood is based on Big U.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm like, what?
That's dope that they shot that on the on
that block.
And yeah,
on the block, man.
See, I like little stuff like that, man.
Me too. Me too.
I mean, there's a certain genre of things that I like to know about, and unfortunately, it seems to be all based on the drugs and crime and things like that from like the 80s and 90s. But I really, really appreciate that time, like knowing everything about that time, because it was us. Like we're the little kids that are growing up and we're seeing the crazy chains and the whatever, the 600s back to back or whatever the case may be in your respected hoods. You know what I mean? And I think Fab's line was, drug dealing was cool. It was the 90s. Don't worry, you had to be there or something like that. Like, it's not cool, but as kids, like,
yeah,
it was cool.
Well, look, speaking of cool, man, let me transition here to the other thing that we watched this week, which is the Patrice O'Neal documentary on Comedy Central. It's called Killing Is Easy. Now, like,
that shit was kind of sad, bro.
It was sad because I'm gonna say this. I like Patrice O'Neal. I was a fan of his. Obviously, on the roast, he was funny. I remember Elephant in the Room. I remember him on Last Comic Standing, which I'm kind of surprised they didn't mention at all. Because he played the asshole on that show. So like, and obviously all the little cameos and stuff I'd seen other than The Office, I'd seen him in all these shows. So I knew who Patrice O'Neal was. My friend is Andrew Schultz. Andrew Schultz constantly, for years, has said the greatest comic of all time is Patrice O'Neal. And like in my mind, I was like, yeah, because he does the asshole comedy, and Schultz likes the asshole comedy, right? Schultz, they have the same kind of style in that way. But I'm like, is he just paying respects to someone who's not with us no more? It's like, does he really think he's better than Pryor or Eddie Murphy or Chappelle or Chris Rock or Lenny Bruce or what's my man, George Carlin? Is he better than them guys? And now after watching that documentary, I have a greater understanding, because they always talk about this shit. They talk about shit in rap all the time. Your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. And like when I saw the number of people coming out and talking about him in that way, and also pointing out this nigga was dying to have a documentary about his life, you know, like kind of like little jokes like that.
Yeah.
Like, or what my man says, like, yo, no one else is gonna say this shit because he dead, so you go say nice shit. That nigga was, oh, it's Donnell Rawlings. That nigga was an asshole.
Yeah.
Now, he was a funny asshole. He was a likable asshole. He was a charismatic asshole. But make no mistake, that nigga was an asshole, right? And so this documentary for me really like helped me understand, oh, that's why them niggas loved him so much. But at the same time, much like what we were talking about earlier with Bimmy, just the idea of, yeah, man, like shit is hard. Like you can't literally be the realest nigga in the room, because at some point that shit won't serve you.
Yeah, it reminded me of fucking keeping it real goes wrong type shit. You know what I mean? Like to a point of like the nigga just really didn't give a fuck. Like the fact that he on set on The Office and just really just like, yo, I can't stand these niggas. You know what I'm saying? Or just being in any particular situation and not really just fucking with it, bro. And like, and it was like, you know, ideally when you think about any of the things, it's just like, what? You know what I mean? It's just sad because he didn't care about the money and he wasn't about to sell out to get the money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he was so talented and so like brutally honest. And that's what you had to love about him, because, you know, he gave cold hard truth. And I said it the other day, like, nigga, I like my fucking, my comedy uncomfortable. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. Kevin Hart said when he first heard him, he said it was shit that I had to grab my chest. And he's like, shit, that's shit that normally old people do. But I mean, we can go back to the time, I think it was 2018 or 2019. We went to the fucking Comedy Store and we got a chance to watch, this was right before Chappelle, right? Yeah. And somebody said a joke and me and you looked at each other like, oh shit. Like, but it was so bad and great that was damn, you don't get comedy like that no more, where you like kind of cringe with it. Like, damn, I can't believe they said that shit.
That's real talk, man. To me, those are my favorite. That's why I like, beyond Andrew being my friend, that's why I like Andrew's fucking comedy. Because the nigga pushes that shit to a place where it's just like, even when I'm on the podcast, you know, there's a funny thing. I'm on their podcast and they fuck with me constantly. Like on some disrespectful shit, like, yo, have you ever felt the need to tell Jamel Hill to just shut the fuck up and go make you a sandwich? Like, and I'm like, you know, that's my homegirl. So I'm like, yo, but I also know in the back of my head, like, I know what they're doing. They're going for like the most uncomfortable place, like, which is the idea that like every man at some level must believe he knows more about sports than any woman out here, right? And so I'm laughing, but I'm also like worried, like, yo, people are gonna watch this and gonna think I'm fucking co-signing on this shit. Obviously, I'm not. Jamel's a good friend of mine. But also, there's a part of me that understands. They're fucking joking. Their job is to tell fucking jokes. It's all funny. And so I understood the point that his stepdaughter was making when she was saying, like, people would ask her, yo, you hear the shit that he's saying? And she's like, yeah, that's his job. He's fucking telling jokes. He's not like, that's not who he is as a person, which I know to a lot of people, especially in this day and age, They don't want to hear that. They
just want to overreact about everything. Overreact for everything.
Yeah.
And I think that everything is so serious and just,
Well,
easy to complain about.
But Trey, here's the thing. Everyone want to overreact, but then there's like a large majority of the motherfuckers that'll say the joke and then get the overreaction, and then they'll come out and like apologize for the joke. Regret the joke, right? And Patrice and Schultze, and there's like a handful of other comics. You tell them that shit, you gas them up a little bit more. That nigga's like, oh, they got mad on this shit. Like he said, like the whole thing with he's on stage and he's like, look at this bitch with the serious face right here. And he takes out the money and he gives back the money for her ticket. Say, go leave. You'll get the money if you walk out of here and don't come back. But I hope you have fun somewhere fucking else.
That's fucking crazy.
That is crazy. And at the same time, it's fucking brilliant, man. It is brilliant. Trey, I know you stepped away. I was just talking about the story about Patrice taking out the money and giving it to the woman who wasn't laughing. Said, here.
Oh yeah, he's sick. But I mean, that's a Amin move though. You would 100% do that at a live show and would literally be like, yo, you don't like this? Here, how much did you pay for the ticket? Here, and take it and make sure and blah, 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 and send them about their way. And I would
tell you right now, as much as I'd love to be the one to do that shit, there would be an internal fear for me. Like, what if a bunch of these niggas stand up and say they don't like this shit either?
I wish somebody would ask me, do I like this show? And if I wasn't laughing and asking how much I paid, I'm not telling you the real price. I didn't pay face value, bro.
Look at you, sick. I like to think that Amin thinks he's hated that much, but it's a lot of motherfuckers that love you, bro. That really will tap in just for you.
I'm constantly terrified that everybody hates and everybody's just waiting for me to fuck up. Like that's the shit. Like when the niggas talk about like when he died and all these people were like, da da da, and I was like, yo, I actually know what it was. It was when Rush Limbaugh died. Rush Limbaugh died, and I saw so many people like line up to shit on that motherfucker. And not that he didn't deserve to be shit on, but that's the first time in my life I've ever thought about like, damn, you mean when I die, they're gonna line up to shit on me? Damn, man.
I mean, hey, bro, would you rather have it that way, or did you have everybody say you was a nice guy when it's not true?
I don't want that either. I'd rather like nobody remember me when I die. Like, oh shit, Amin died. Fuck. And then
you got like that. And I'm not saying I'm by no means am I comparing you to Floyd Mayweather by any stretch of the imagination, but I feel like there's two fucking I'm making that clear. I'm not comparing you to Floyd Mayweather. Let's make that clear. But there's two types of hate. There's a Floyd Mayweather hate where it's like people hate you, but they can't help but to tune in. Like their hate fuels. And then there's the Adrian Broner hate where like motherfuckers just really hate him. Like they just don't like him.
That
right?
nigga
like,
fighting again? He's still fighting.
He's still fighting.
He's listen, man.
Get that chicken, man. It's money out here to be made, bro.
But I'm gonna tell you right now, man. No, I'm gonna tell you like the only thing I was
live your truth, man. Word to Patrice O'Neal, dog.
Yeah, I'm gonna try.
Nah, he's a little too wild.
He a little too wild for you, Jerv.
Bruh,
you can't.
You ain't see his post fight interview.
Broner,
no, I'm talking about.
O'Neal?
I'm talking about Patrice O'Neal.
Oh no, I fuck with Patrice, dog. I'm
just saying. I said, live your truths, though. You know what I'm saying? If you feel, Patrice, I just think if people are more honest, I think if people were more honest, it's less judgment, bro.
Yo, Patrice once had a bit about like TSA. They didn't have it in this document, but he had a bit where he talked about the TSA, and he said, "I'm not talking about all TSA agents are perverts, but you telling me out of all the airports in this country." There ain't at least one TSA agent who gets off on that shit or filling a nigga up. Shit. And ever since that, like I said, you've been dead 10 years? For 10 years, every time I go to the airport, I'd be looking at TSA agents. I go, oh, hold on, we got to pat you down. Like, here we go, that's nigga right here. Go ahead, man. Yeah, all right, I got you.
The Malcolm XXL had me crying too. He's like, I'm not a representation of I'm not the leader of the fat people.
Oh, the fat people.
That nigga's sick, man. He's sick, bro. And he was like, I like the idea that he didn't stick with that same joke and write it out. He just never wanted to be remembered by one joke. And I liked how he bullied Kevin Hart. Like
Yo,
basically built the
it was his
skin.
young
Of,
boy.
you know what I mean?
Kevin Hart said, like, he got up on stage and there's 5 people, and he said the jokes wasn't hitting, and then he hears in the background, ugh.
That
gotta be the
that
most
grunt was crazy.
The most deflating shit in the world to hear a nigga go, ugh. And that nigga was the doorman. That's the funny thing. I didn't know that shit too.
Yeah, niggas
followed by phone books.
Niggas threw a phone book at him and said, "Call somebody, bro, because this ain't for you."
Anybody in this phone book right here.
Now look at fucking Kevin Hart, dog.
That's crazy.
If you got a type of person like that to push you and just kind of motivate you, because I mean, nigga, Patrice O'Neal's telling you the harsh truth and scaring your ass off the.
But here's the crazy thing: Colin Quinn, Dennis Leary, Kevin Hart, Bill Burr, like Craig Robinson, like these are all people. Fuck, even Jim Norton, man, has had some shit pop off for him, movie roles, et cetera, et cetera. All motherfuckers that was around this dude all the time. Yeah. And like they all blew up and he really didn't. The other thing was I never knew that the Colin Quinn show, what's it called? Tough Talk, not Tough Talk. It's called
Tough Talk. Tough Crowd.
Tough Crowd. It was all based on their bullshit ass, like bullshit post show,
post comedy show. Well, banter that they would do.
The banter, yeah. The motherfuckers made a show out of that shit. Like I thought it was actually like a show about politics, and we're gonna have comedians talk about it. I didn't realize, no, it's these niggas who used to hang out together, and that's where we're at with this shit. So that was dope to find out. By the way, apparently Snoop was the one that got Harry O out.
Shout out to Uncle Snoop.
Yeah, shit.
And
is he ever gonna stop wearing that doggy style jacket?
No.
Nope.
No.
Like,
no.
Every Snoop appearance I've seen,
he wears anything that has himself on it.
No, but but hold on. Over the last like 8 months, every single public appearance he's made has been wearing that jacket. It could be summertime, it could be wintertime, it could be snow on the ground, it could be like 99 degrees. That nigga's wearing that jacket no matter what.
Shout out to Uncle Snoop.
It's a dope jacket though.
Shout out to Uncle Snoop. Snoop Dogg's my favorite uncle, man.
Trey, I know you got to run. One last thing before you do, because it slipped into the chat right before we. That's another Bossa Nova story. Oh, shit. All right, never mind. Well, let's end it right here then. That's a nice solid ending. Wow, the Bossa Nova is so toxic. I literally just had to end the show. We can't even put music over it for the risk of some shit going wrong. For Blk Tray, for Big Jerv, for Rob Lopez on the 1 and 2s. This has been Black Opinions Matter, motherfucker. Peace out.